have the honor to refer to the very serious calls which have recently been made upon the home defense fighter units in support of the operations in France.
August 13th, 1940, 10:10 hours. RAF Uxbridge, the Group Operations Room for No. 11 Group, Fighter Command. It is a concrete bunker, 50 feet underground. The atmosphere is not of a frantic battle, but of a university lecture hall. It is cool, almost silent, save for the dry, rhythmic scrape of long wooden rakes pushing markers across a vast map table, and the quiet, clipped voices of young women in the blue uniforms of the WAF, the Women's Auxiliary Air Force. This is the nerve center, the brain. High above the map table, in a glass-windowed gallery, Air Vice Marshal Keith Park stands watching. He is a New Zealander, a veteran of the Great War, a pragmatic, unshakable man. He is the field commander of the battle, and this room is his weapon. The wall is dominated by a huge tote board, a grid showing the status of his 24 squadrons. At readiness, available, refueling, enemy sighted. This entire system is the secret. It is the brainchild of Air Chief Marshal Sir Hugh Dowding. It is a living, breathing network, a nervous system for a nation, and it begins 100 miles away. On the coast of Kent, a 350-foot steel tower, part of the chain home network, pulses a low-frequency radio wave out across the channel. At 10:09 a.m., that wave hits Gallen's formation and bounces back. In a dark hut, a WAF operator sees the blip appear on her cathode ray tube. She marks its range and bearing. That raw, messy data is telephoned to a filter room, a secret hub where other women compare it with reports from other stations, triangulating it, sifting it from friendlies returning, and identifying it as Hostile 4-0. Now, in Park's bunker at 10:10 a.m., a WAF plotter, a croupier, receives the filtered report through her headset. Hostile 4-0, 40 plus, Angels 18, course 100. She places a wooden block on the map, showing 40 plus enemy aircraft at 18,000 feet, heading west, and pushes it with her rake. Minutes later, another call. New plot, Hostile 4-1, 60 plus, Angels 15, following. This is the bomber stream. Gallen's group is the high cover. Park sees it all. He sees the when, the where, the how many, and the how high. Adolf Galland, at this very moment, is still 20 minutes from the English coast. He is flying blind, believing he has the advantage of surprise. He is wrong. Park, calm, sips his tea. He sees the red arrow of Hostile 4.0 aimed at Eastchurch. He looks at his tote board. He sees which airfields are in the path. He will not scramble every fighter he has in a desperate panic. That is what the Luftwaffe wants. A single, massive dogfight where their superior numbers will win. Instead, Park will be economical. He will be a surgeon. He turns to his fighter controller. "Get Biggin Hill's 79 Squadron airborne," he says, his voice quiet. "Vector them to intercept Hostile 4.0. Angels 20. Get them there before the bombers." The controller nods, speaking into his microphone. The order flies over dedicated phone lines to No. 11 Group's sector station at Biggin Hill. In that station's own operations room, a new controller takes over, his eyes on his own more detailed map. He gets on the radio telephone, the RT. In a dispersal hut at Biggin Hill, a loudspeaker crackles. 79 Squadron, scramble, scramble, scramble. Pilots drop their cards, dash across the grass, and haul themselves into the cockpits of their Hurricanes. Their engines roar to life. As they climb, the sector controller's voice is in their ears, guiding them. Vector 120, climb to Angels 20, bandits 30 miles your starboard. They are not hunting. They are being vectored. They are a guided missile. This is the formation Galland will see. This is the amateur squadron he will attack and scatter, shooting one down. But Park and Dowding have already planned for that. Park gives a second, more subtle order. Scramble Hornchurch, 603 and 41 squadrons. Spitfires. Vector them behind Biggin Hill. Angels 24.
Tell them to wait. I want them to hit the bombers after the escort is engaged. This is the system. Radar gives the warning. The filter room makes it coherent. Group Command, Park, allocates the assets, and Sector Control guides the pilots. So, when Galland, high on his victory, wonders where those other Spitfires came from, the ones that tore into his bombers from a different altitude, from out of the sun, he has his answer. They were not luck. They were a trap, set 40 minutes earlier by a quiet New Zealander in a concrete room 50 feet underground, who was watching Galland's every move on a map.
August 13th, 1940. 10:50 hours. 18,000 feet above the English Channel. The cockpit of the Messerschmitt Bf 109E Emil is a cramped hothouse of glass and steel. The air smells of high-octane fuel, hydraulic fluid, and the faint metallic tang of the oxygen mask. Below, the sun glints off the channel, a sliver of blue-gray water the Reichsmarschall has promised them they will cross in days. For Major Adolf Galland, Geschwader Commodore of Jagdgeschwader 26, this is not a battle, it is a hunt. He is an expert, a veteran of the Condor Legion in Spain, with 17 victories marked on his rudder. His personal Bf 109, with its Mickey Mouse mascot painted on the fuselage, is the finest fighting machine in the sky. Beside him and his wingmen, his rota, fly dozens of other 109s, a swarm of yellow-nosed sharks. Below them, a vast, stepped formation of Dornier Do-17 flying pencil bombers. Their target, the RAF airfield at Eastchurch. This is Adlertag. Eagle Day, the day the Luftwaffe will smash the Royal Air Force, breaking its spine in a single decisive blow. The arrogance is palpable. It is earned. They have conquered Poland. They crushed France in 6 weeks. The Luftwaffe is the most feared military force on Earth. Their intelligence reports are clear. The RAF is on its last legs. Their pilots are green. Their Hurricanes are slow, flying logs. Their beautiful Spitfires are few, flown by terrified amateurs. The Luftwaffe outnumbers them 3-1. Galland scans the sky. He is leading the high-cover escort, protecting the bombers from above. The sky is a blinding, empty blue. He checks his gauges. The Daimler-Benz DB601 engine thrums, a deep, resonant growl. He feels the power of the machine, the 20mm cannons in the wings, the 7.92mm machine guns in the nose. He is an apex predator, and this is his hunting ground. Indianer, Lynx, 9 Uhr. The voice of his wingman crackles in his headset. Enemy, 9 o'clock. Galland snaps his head left. There, a dozen, maybe 15. Dark specks, hurricanes, climbing to meet them, but too late and too low. Amateurs, Galland mutters. He gives the order. One flight, engage. The rest, stay with the bombers. He drops the nose of his 109, the engine whining as he builds speed. The British fighters see them and break, scattering. This is not a formation, it's a panic. Galland isolates a straggler, a single Hurricane. The British pilot is clumsy, pulling a climbing turn, showing Galland his entire belly. Galland doesn't even have to think. His instincts, honed over Spain and France, take over. He pulls the stick, feels the G-force push him into his seat, and the Hurricane fills his Revy gun sight. A 2-second burst. The 20mm shells strike the Hurricane's wing root. It is a perfect deflection shot. The flying log shudders, blossoms into a brilliant orange-black fireball, and disintegrates. Galland breaks hard right, clearing his tail. Another victory. The sky is theirs. But as he reforms his Geschwader for the return flight, a cold, nagging thought penetrates his triumph. The Dorniers are reporting heavy, coordinated attacks from other fighters. Spitfires. They seem to have come from nowhere, hitting the bombers from a different altitude, at a different vector. They weren't part of the Hurricane squadron he just routed. How did they know? He scans the empty sky over Kent. His radio is silent. The bombers are through. The target is burning. It was a success. And yet, the precision of that other attack feels less like a desperate scramble and more like an ambush. He shrugs it off. England or luck, it won't last. The Luftwaffe is invincible. He has no idea that his entire raid has been tracked, plotted, and dissected for 40 minutes, long before he ever saw the white cliffs of Dover.
August 18th, 1940. 13:05 hours. 22,000 feet over Kent. Major Werner Mulders, Geschwader Commodore of Jagdgeschwader 51, squints against the blinding sun. He is a tactical genius, the father of the Finger 4 formation, a man who sees the sky in 3 dimensions. He is leading a Freie Jagd, a free hunt, ranging far ahead of his main bomber force. His mission: to sweep the sky, to find the RAF squadrons scrambling from their airfields below, and to destroy them. He and his Stabschwarm of 4 yellow-nosed Bf-109Es are the bait, and the hammer. The sun is at his back. He has the altitude. He has the initiative. Below him, the green patchwork of Kent, the Hell's Corner, is serene, empty. His bombers, a huge Geschwader of Dornier Do-17s, are still 15 miles behind, approaching the vital sector station at RAF Kenley. Mulders checks his 6 o'clock. Clear. He scans the airspace below. Nothing. The Tommies must be slow to rise today. He feels the familiar surge of the hunter's confidence. Achtung, Achtung, Spitfires, Hawk oben. The voice of his wingman is a strained, high-pitched scream in his headset. Above us, 6 o'clock, high. Mulder's stomach drops. He slams the stick hard left, kicking the rudder, breaking into a gut-wrenching turn. He looks, not down, but up. It's impossible. Plunging out of the white glare of the sun, where he should have been blind to them, are 12, perhaps 15, RAF fighters. Spitfires. They are not climbing frantically from Kenley below him. They were waiting for him, 2,000 feet above him. They have used his own tactic, the Sonnenjagd, against him. They knew his course. They knew his altitude. They knew he was here. Tracers, like angry red hornets, rip past his canopy. The sky, empty seconds before, is now a swirling, 3-dimensional melee. Mulders is an ace. He evades the pass, rolls, and in a snapshot, fires a burst into a Spitfire that overshoots. He sees it smoke. But the damage is done. His Schwarm is shattered, scattered, each pilot fighting for his own life. He hears the bomber captains on the radio. Their calls are no longer confident. They are desperate. Schwere Jäger, Schwere Jäger, heavy fighters. A second wave of RAF aircraft, this time Hurricanes, is tearing into the now undefended Dorniers at a lower altitude. It is a perfectly tiered, coordinated ambush. This is not a scramble. This is a symphony of destruction. That evening, back at their airbase in Pas-de-Calais, the Geschwader commanders meet. The mood is dark. This is the hardest day. The Luftwaffe has flown over 800 sorties. They have lost nearly 70 aircraft. The RAF has lost 34. The German pilots are claiming huge victories, but the numbers don't add up. The RAF is not broken. They are fighting with an uncanny, terrifying intelligence. Adolf Galland, his face smudged with oil and cordite, slams his gloves on the table. They know where we are, he states, his voice low. Every time.
They know our altitude, our strength, our target. An intelligence officer scoffs. Impossible, Major. Our formations are too large, our plans too secret. It's those masts, Mulders insists. On the coast, the big steel towers. The intelligence officer shakes his head, dismissive. Reichsmarshal Goering has been assured. They are simple radio direction finders for guiding lost Tommy bombers in the fog. They are of no tactical value. But the aces, the men who have to fly against it, know better. They can feel it. The RAF isn't just fighting with courage. They are fighting with a new, invisible weapon. This Dowding System, this integrated web of radar, filter rooms, and controllers, is something they cannot comprehend. It is a magic that has turned their hunters into the hunted. The Luftwaffe pilots, masters of the sky, now feel like a blind giant, swarmed by a foe who can see in the dark.
August 19th, 1940. Office of Reichsmarshal Hermann Goering, Hall. The opulence of the room is obscene. Tapestries line the walls, and a large globe stands in the corner, but the atmosphere is venomous. Hermann Goering, chief of the Luftwaffe, is in a state of primal fury. He is dressed in a white silk uniform, but his face is crimson, his eyes bulging. His promise to the Führer, to destroy RAF Fighter Command in 4 days, is now a mockery. Adlertag has failed. The hardest day, August 18th, has cost him 69 of his finest aircraft and crews. The RAF, which his intelligence chief, Beppo Schmid, assured him was down to its last 50 fighters, somehow managed to put 200 planes in the air. His aces, the Experten, are summoned before him. Adolf Galland, Werner Mulders, Gunther Lutzow. They stand at attention, their faces still etched with the exhaustion of combat. Goering explodes. He paces, his jeweled baton slapping against his thigh. "My fighters," he screams. "You are not fighting, you are cowards." He accuses them of staying high, of abandoning the bombers to save their own skins, of being afraid of the Tommy Spitfires. He rages about their lack of offensive spirit. The aces are silent, their anger a cold counterpoint to Goering's heat. These are men who fly 3, 4, sometimes 5 sorties a day. They have seen their friends disintegrate in midair. They know the truth. Finally, Goering stops, his jowls quivering. "What do you need?" he demands. "What do you need to win?" Werner Mulders, the tactician, speaks first, his voice clipped. "A new version of the Bf-109, Herr Reichsmarschall. One with a more powerful, supercharged engine, like the Spitfires." Goering dismisses him with a wave. "Excuses, engines." He turns to Adolf Galland, who has said nothing, his arms crossed. "And you, Galland, what do you need?" Galland, famous for his arrogance and his honesty, meets the Reichsmarschall's gaze. "Herr Reichsmarschall," he says, his voice flat, "I should like an outfit of Spitfires for my Geschwader." The silence in the room is total. An attendant drops a glass. Goering's face turns a shade of purple, and for a moment, it seems he will have Galland shot. But the ace has made his point. The Spitfire is a magnificent machine. But more than that, it is being used with an intelligence they cannot counter. The Luftwaffe is trapped by its own flawed doctrine. They believe in the decisive battle, in the Schwerpunkt, the concentrated point of attack. But how can you find a decisive battle when the enemy knows your every move before you make it? The German intelligence services are blind. They have no radar on the scale of Chainholm. Their radio intercepts are useless because the RAF controllers are using secure landlines. Their only intelligence comes from pilots' combat reports, which are by nature chaotic, exaggerated, and confused. They are convinced the RAF is on the ropes. They believe they are winning a battle of attrition. But the Dowding System is not just a shield. It's a force multiplier. It allows Air Vice Marshal Keith Park to manage his precious squadrons with the precision of a miser. He never sends 100 fighters when 30 will do.
He rotates his squadrons, pulling tired units from the inferno of number 11 group in the southeast and replacing them with fresh units from number 12 and number 13 groups in the north. The Luftwaffe, meanwhile, is burning out its best men. They are flying the same aces, in the same Geschwader, from the same French airfields, day after day, frustrated. Hitler and Goering make a fatal, emotional error. On August 24th, a lost Heinkel crew, believing they are over the Thames estuary, accidentally drop their bombs on the civilian center of London. It is a mistake, but Prime Minister Winston Churchill sees it as an opportunity. He orders a retaliatory raid on Berlin. On the night of August 25th, a handful of RAF bombers get through.
The damage is negligible. A few garden sheds are destroyed. But the psychological impact is immense. Goering, who had boasted, "If a single enemy bomb falls on Berlin, you can call me Meyer," has been humiliated. The Führer is enraged. In a furious public speech, Hitler vows revenge. "If they attack our cities," he shrieks, "we will erase theirs." The strategic objective of the Luftwaffe is about to change. Not based on military logic, but on a tantrum. On September 7th, the orders are given. The new target is not the airfields, not the radar masts, not the sector stations. The new target is London. The Blitz is about to begin.
September 15th, 1940. 11:30 hours, 20,000 feet over the Thames estuary. Oberleutnant Otto Busch-Meyer of Jagdgeschwader 53 holds his Bf 109 in a steady climb. His squadron, the Ace of Spades, is part of another colossal armada. Nearly 200 bombers and 600 fighters. The target, once again, is London. The mood is no longer arrogant. It is grim, resigned. The pilots have been flying this same route, into this same cauldron for a week. They are no longer hunters. They are bait. Every man feels it. They are flying into a trap, a perfectly laid ambush, and there is nothing they can do about it. Their job is to die, or to kill, in the hope that somewhere, somehow, the RAF will finally run out of planes. In the number 11 group bunker at RAF Uxbridge, Prime Minister Winston Churchill is in the gallery, standing silently behind Air Vice Marshal Keith Park. He is watching the map. The croupiers are pushing the blocks faster than ever. The map is a sea of red. Hostile 5-1, 100 plus. Hostile 5-2, 150 plus. Hostile 5-3, 200 plus. The entire Luftflotte 2 is airborne. This is it, the final, desperate heave. Park, who for weeks had husbanded his resources, turns to his controller. He has used the 7-day lull, the gift of the London Blitz, to repair his airfields, re-equip his squadrons, and rest his men. He looks at the tote board. Nearly every squadron is available. Scramble all squadrons, Park orders. His voice is flat. He is committing his entire force. But it's not just Park squadrons. In the number 12 group operations room at RAF Duxford, the Maverick squadron leader Douglas Bader, a legless ace with a ferocious, indomitable will, has been screaming for a new tactic. Not squadrons, but a big wing, a Duxford wing. The order comes. Big wing, form up, 5 squadrons, vector south. For Busch-Meyer, the sky over Kent is the first shock. He sees the penny packets, as the Germans call them, individual squadrons of Spitfires and Hurricanes, climbing to meet them, just as they always do. His Geschwader dives, engaging them, scattering the escort. The dogfights are vicious, chaotic. But as he clears his tail, breaking through the first layer of defenders, he looks toward London, and his blood freezes. The sky in front of him is not empty. It is not another penny packet. It is a wall. A solid, climbing, 60-plane formation of Spitfires and Hurricanes, wheeling around in a perfect, disciplined arc, positioning themselves between the bombers and the sun. This is Bader's big wing. Meyer's radio explodes with the screams of the bomber crews. Achtung, Jäger! Hunderte von Jägern! Alle Richtungen. Fighters. Hundreds of fighters. All directions. For the German pilots, this is the moment of final, crushing realization. The RAF is not broken. They are not on their last 50 planes. They are stronger. They have been waiting. They have used the Luftwaffe's own attacks on London to regroup. And now they are meeting them in overwhelming force. The German bomber formations, built on a theory of mutual self-defense, disintegrate. They are swarmed from above by the big wing, and from the flanks by Park squadrons. Heinkels, Dorniers, Junkers 88s. They are picked off one by one, their engines trailing black smoke as they fall in fiery arcs, leaving black funeral pyres burning across the fields of Kent. The fighter escorts, low on fuel and ammunition, are swarmed. Bush Meyer finds himself in a 3-on-1 fight. He snap rolls, fires a desperate burst, and dives for the channel. All around him he sees Bf-109s doing the same, running for their lives. That afternoon the Luftwaffe tries again. And again, the Dowding System sees them coming. Again, the map at Uxbridge lights up. And again, Park and the big wing meet them in force. By the evening of September 15th, 1940, it is over. The Luftwaffe has lost 61 aircraft.
The RAF has lost 26.
The German crews, landing back in France, are morally and physically shattered. They have seen the impossible. They have seen an enemy that cannot be broken because it cannot be surprised. They have seen an enemy that knows their every move, that meets them at every turn with precisely the right force at the right time. 2 days later, on September 17th, Adolf Hitler quietly, indefinitely, postpones Operation Sea Lion, the invasion of Great Britain. The battle has been won, not just by the few in the sky, but by the many on the ground, by the WAAF plotters, the radar operators in their lonely huts, and the quiet, calculating mind of Hugh Dowding. The magic the Luftwaffe aces could feel but not understand. The system that made them feel like the enemy could see in the dark had, in fact, saved the world.
September 7th, 1940.
16:15 hours, 16,000 feet over the Thames estuary. Hauptmann Hans Kirsch grips the yoke of his Heinkel HE-111 bomber. His knuckles are white. For the past 20 minutes, he has been flying in the largest air armada he has ever seen. To his left, right, and below, he can see hundreds of other bombers. Dorniers, Junkers 88s, a vast, stepped river of dark green metal. Above them, like glittering sharks, are the escorts. Over 600 Bf-109s and the twin-engine Bf-110 Zerstorer, destroyers. But everything is wrong. His target, according to his briefing, is the London docks. But to get there, they have flown past the sector stations. They have flown past Biggin Hill, past Hornchurch, past Kenley. They have ignored the hornets' nests. Kirsch is a veteran. He has flown over Poland and France. He knows this is tactical insanity. They are flying deep into a sack, a kill box with only one way out, the way they came in. Below, he sees the serpentine coil of the River Thames. And then, the city. A sprawling, endless map of brown and gray, veiled in a light haze. London. In the streets of the East End, the air raid sirens have been wailing for 10 minutes. Civilians, used to the alerts but not to the reality, pour out of pubs and shops looking up. The sky is gone. It has been replaced by a moving, three-dimensional mass of German aircraft. It is a sky made of black crosses. The sheer number is an act of terror in itself. Then, the first bombs begin to fall. The high, whistling shriek of the 500-kilogram Hermans as they plunge towards the docks, the cranes, the warehouses full of sugar and tea. The earth erupts. A wall of fire and black smoke climbs into the sky, visible for 50 miles. In the underground bunker at RAF Uxbridge, Air Vice Marshal Keith Park watches the plotters move the red blocks. Hostile 2-1, 300 plus. Hostile 2-2, 250 plus. The blocks are not aimed at his airfields. They are moving relentlessly toward the red circle marked London. A controller looks at him, his face pale. "They're not hitting us, sir. They're going for the city." Park, who has been stretched to the breaking point, who has seen his airfields cratered and his pilots exhausted, feels a cold, sharp surge of relief. It is a miracle. It is a catastrophic, monumental blunder. "They're leaving our airfields alone," Park says, his voice quiet. "They've taken the bait." The pressure on his sector stations, on the heart of the Dowding System, is off. His exhausted ground crews can repair the runways. His plotters can breathe. The Luftwaffe has just traded its only strategically vital target for a civilian one. But Park still has a problem. The bombers are already over the target. His fighters, scrambled from a dozen airfields, are now in a tail chase. He makes a call. "All squadrons," he orders, "do not attempt to chase the bombers in. Vector all units to intercept the withdrawal. Form up over East London and hit them as they come out." For Hauptmann Kirsch, the flak over London is the worst he has ever seen. A curtain of black, greasy puffs that rock his hinkel. He shouts, "Bombs away!" and his bombardier releases their payload. The plane lurches upwards, lighter. Kirsch banks hard to port, turning for home. And that's when he sees it. The sky in front of him is no longer empty. It is full of Spitfires and Hurricanes. They are not in ones or twos. They are in entire squadrons, formed up, climbing in perfect vector, diving on them from out of the sun. It's the entire RAF. The German aces, like Adolf Galland, leading the escort, are stunned. The RAF, which they believed was down to its last handful of planes, has just put over 20 squadrons into the sky. How? It is the system. With the pressure off his airfields, Park has been able to release his squadrons. He is no longer fighting in pennies and shillings. He is throwing in the whole purse. The German pilots, who for weeks had been fighting a scattered, desperate-feeling foe, are now facing the full, coordinated might of fighter command, exactly where they are most vulnerable. Low on fuel, their ammunition spent, over enemy territory. The sky over London becomes the largest, most complex dogfight in history, a swirling, vicious melee of 1,000 aircraft. For the Luftwaffe pilots, the realization is sickening. The British were hurt, but they weren't blind. And now, by attacking London, the Germans have given their enemy the one thing they needed: time to recover. They have given the invisible system a chance to breathe, to rearm, and to meet them in force.